In this video, I'm going to show you how to change the rear brake pads in a 2019 Subaru Outback. So while the car is on the ground, I like to break these lug nuts loose. That way I can use the gravity and weight of the car to prevent the tire from spinning while I'm trying to loosen it. If you lift it up and then you try to do it, it kind of moves a little bit around, a little bit harder. I'm using 19 millimeter. The rear jack point on this Subaru is going to be just in front of the rear tire. I'm on the driver's side right now. You can see this edge has some ripples in it. That's an indicator of where the main frame is and where your jack point is as well. Anywhere in this area will be fine. Don't jack up on right here, of course, because this is the outer plastic. You want to get the frame or inside of the frame right here. There's also a subframe if you go a little bit further in, but I'm not going to use that. To build redundancy, I'm going to use some jack stands as well. I'm going to put this on another part of the frame. I'm going to lower the car on the jack stand and then pump up the jack again, just so that it's equally distributing weight between 2 points. Now that I have the car on the jack stand and on the jack, I'm now going to remove the lug nuts and remove the tire. Lug nuts are removed, and now I'm going to roll it away. All right, I'm going to loosen the 14 millimeter bolt that is right here. Remember, since you're looking at it backwards, righty tighty, lefty loosey, lefty is going to appear as if you're going to the right. I just broke the tightness on this, so that's why it's spinning so easily. And once you get that one out, behind this electronic parking brake sensor, there is one more bolt right there. We'll be taking that one out as well. Okay, so when you get underneath and you look right here, this is your electronic parking brake communication wire, and you need to disconnect it. The way you do that is you pull this rubber boot down, and you can see that the way that it's connected right now is this lever is actually on a clip. So you need to push down at the bottom and lift up, and then it'll come right off. You see this little plastic nub right there? That plastic nub is going inside of this little plastic channel. So like I said, you have to push, yeah, this rubber boot gets in the way, but you know what I mean. You push down and it causes that, you see how it rocks back and forth? So now that the electronic parking brake wire is disconnected, I'm now gonna take this caliper and wiggle it off. Nice and gentle. And you got to be careful because you don't want to put the weight on this hose right here. So what I like to do is just lift it up and lean everything against the spring and the back of this hub. You just have to be careful. If you feel like you need to do some zip ties through here to here, just as a safety, go for it. I'm going to be gentle, so I'm not going to take this out. Next step is we need to remove these springs. Every time you change the brakes, you want to replace these springs. They get very hot, and any type of metal that gets hot and bends throughout its use weakens. So that's why your new set is going to come with brand new metal clips as well. So I'm going to go ahead and pull those out now. I'm just going to use a flathead screwdriver to remove this spring. Just lift up, and it'll come right out nice and easy. Next, I'm gonna actually remove the brake. There's one of my brakes compared to the new one. You can see quite a difference. So these right here are the original brakes. I got about 90,000 miles out of them before they started making any noise. So it looks like they wore very smoothly. I am glad to see that. The rotors are nice and smooth. I have no damage. So I'm very impressed. Almost 100,000 miles on the same pair of brakes. That's crazy. So here is my new one. And just so that you're aware, this is the outside of the caliper. This is the side that's over here. And that's the smooth one that does not have the built-in squealer. So this is going to be the inner brake. And here is, you can see that the squealer was going because of the size of the brakes. Again, for comparison, old versus new. It's kind of comical how much of a difference. I'm still so impressed. Almost 100,000 miles on the same pair of brakes. That's wild. Next step that I want to discuss is the retraction of the piston on the electronic parking brake. So this mechanism right here is your EPB, your electronic parking brake. And there's a piston built inside that is currently projecting outward. When you put in your new brakes, since the new brakes, as we saw, are larger, they're not going to fit. So you need to retract this piston inward. You can do that with a couple of specific tools. You can also do it with needle nose pliers. So I'm going to go ahead and start doing that. It's not the easiest way. The easiest way is to use the right tool for the job, but I'm going to see if I can get away with using these right now. You want to put it on and then start turning clockwise. To give me some extra space, I'm going to go ahead and take this part of the caliper out. Right here, you can see it's just guiding pins that go in right there. So I'm going to go ahead and remove this. And now you have a better picture of what this looks like. This is the part that I'm going to start lowering in. I'm just going to keep spinning this until it stops. Looks like I have found the point where it is going to quit spinning. Okay, so now at that point, this, with enough pressure, squeezing in, this piston will fully retract. You have to be careful on this because this is all plastic right here. So normally you would just use a C-clamp and pinch it real tight. Okay, so like I said, I'm using a C-clamp, which is the traditional way to do it. I have the old brake pad right here, and it's covering the piston. You need to be careful not to put the pressure on this plastic. I believe this is the electronic parking brake module. So you want to not put any pressure on there. It would be very easy to put the end of the clamp here and then pinch it in and start pushing. So what I'm actually doing is there's a metal housing right here on this piston caliper body. I'm just putting the clamp over there. I got the brake pad right here, and then I'm just twisting. I'm twisting, and it's retracting that piston in. Okay, so compared to what it was, that is about half as large as it is now. I have this fully subtracted and suppressed in. Again, you want to make sure when you put your C-clamp, I wrapped it around here. I put the end of the C-clamp in. I was putting pressure on this body right there and squeezing in. I was not putting any pressure on the plastic. I did use this rod right here too at one point to squeeze in. All right, I got my caliper, and I'm gonna go ahead and feed it back through on the guiding rods. Next step, after getting the piston fully compressed, you will then put your brake pads, place them in. The one with the squealer is gonna go on the bottom and the other one will go on the top. From this perspective, remember top is just gonna lay down and be on the outside of the car. The one with the squealer is gonna be on the inside, on the inner edge. Next, I'm going to carefully place this around this rotor. The hardest part about this is keeping the gap for the rotor to fit right in. So I like to just keep pressure with my fingers so that you can slide it right on, just like that. And then you're gonna realign where your bolts go, those 14mm bolts from the beginning. And that's gonna support this caliper. So I just kind of thread it a little bit, and then I'm gonna go ahead and thread the next one on the bottom, just so that I'm in the right place. You wanna make sure they're not misaligned, so you should be able to thread them with your hands for a significant distance. If it gets stuck, then take it out, realign, and you should be able to hand twist this all the way down. But like I'm saying, I should be able, if it's aligned properly, I should be able to do this by hand. Very important you don't force it in the wrong way. You could break some threading and just mess stuff up. Okay, so at this point, I've got everything situated. Next, I'm gonna put my replacement clip or spring back in. Best way to do it is start from one end, push it all the way in, and then as you angle it out, you'll see that it's starting to build the tension that you need. Okay, definitely a learning curve to getting the spring back in. I want to show you the thing that I ultimately did that made it work. You can see all the scratch marks, so that's how long it took me to get it, a couple minutes here. So I put one side in and easily got that mounted. And then I used my screwdriver to, when this was supported right here, I put it in and just pried it up so that I could get it into place. And then once it was in place, I used my needle nose pliers and kind of angled it in. So that was a technique I used. It was very easy once I figured out the trick. I'm gonna go ahead and tighten my 14mm bolts. All right, and that's the process on how you change the rear brakes on a 2019 Subaru Outback. After this, at this point, you want to drive around and do some hard braking. You want to reset the brakes by going about 25 miles an hour and hitting your brakes real hard until you go down to like 5 miles per hour. Do that 4 or 5 times so that you can reset those things, get them nice and tight again. Thanks for watching. Hope that was helpful. Now I'm going to go do the other side.